What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a great episode of Sports Focus. So, we have a very exciting guest joining us today. Probably one of my favorites, not to shame on the other guests that have come on the show, but we have Kendall Long, Bachelor celebrity, Bachelor in Paradise star. She's an author. She's been on Wipeout. She's an athlete. She's done it all. We've got her on today for you guys. So we're going to bring her in the room here and talk all things Kendall. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring her in. Hey, Kendall, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, this would be a really good interview. I put this on our Instagram thinking we'd get like 50, 60 responses. We got 112. So
yes. That's awesome.
We're not going to go through all of them. I wish we could. So I
Yeah.
tried to narrow down all those fan questions. But we've got a couple topics I wanted to bring up with you today. But first, we'll talk about how was your New Year's? What have you been up to here recently?
New Year's was good. I decided to go out in Tahoe and snowboard with a few friends. And we had like a little group in a cabin. And it was just amazing to actually be outside in nature and I don't know, it just felt like such like a refreshing time to start the new year. So, and I fell a lot when I was snowboarding. I think the last time I went snowboarding was years ago. So it was just good to kind of be out in the open air.
Yeah, I saw your picture, your microwave suit and your your snowboarding. I love that. That was cute.
Thank you.
So are you more of a snowboarder then, or do you ski as well, or is it just kind of whatever you're feeling?
Definitely more of a snowboarder. I grew up in California, so I'm used to surfing. So snowboarding, I think, is kind of similar to surfing. It's like a longer break.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but next time I kind of want to try skiing because I had my girlfriend get some skiing lessons and she absolutely loved it. So I feel like next time I'm going to challenge myself and do that. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Well, I don't want to scare you away. I've only gone skiing once. And out here in Tennessee, we don't have any mountains or snow that often. So there's like a man-made course in this place called Gatlinburg. And when I was in college, I took a girl there and we both tried skiing for the first time. And I kid you not, the first time going down the mountain, maybe 60 seconds into it, she crossed her skis, tore her ACL on our first date. And ever since then, I'm like,
no, that's the
okay.
pizza.
I was like, skiing is out of the question. We're done there.
Because your legs go everywhere. Because when you're snowboarding, they're stuck, in a board. So
yeah, that's why I like it.
About that. But one thing I do like about skiing is that usually when you fall, you're supposed to pop out of your skis, right? Isn't that something that?
I've somewhat heard. I haven't tried it since I was like 22. I kind of got scarred from that moment, but boarding's a lot easier. I think it's more fun too. It's easier to
less accident prone
maneuver. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's awesome. How's everything in California and LA with like COVID? Like I know
it's good.
Things here, we're on complete lockdown. Like
Same.
Bars close at 10. The restaurants are a joke. I know you guys.
Bars and restaurants are not open at all. So nothing's open. The good thing is that the small group of people that I do see, we get COVID tested regularly for work. So it's good to feel security in that as much as you can feel. But because cases are going higher and higher, it's one of those things that you never know where you're going to get it. I know people who have been completely isolated and not seeing anybody, and they'll get COVID and they have no idea how they get it. So It's just one of those things where you have to be as careful as you can.
Dang. Yeah, I'm hoping with the vaccine coming out, like we won't dive into all that and your political background or your views on that, but I'm hoping, by the summer, I think is when people are thinking things go back to normal and
I hope so.
Life, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I almost feel like having a mask is going to stick, kind of like how it did in Japan. Because when I went to go visit Japan last year, everyone was wearing masks. And I was thinking, it'd be so cool if people were like that respectful and would just wear masks all the time if they felt sick. I hope that's something that kind of sticks just because just not spraying it as much as possible or any kind of sickness or the flu would be beneficial. So maybe we can learn something.
No, that's smart. I wish we could do that. I feel like Americans are too cocky and arrogant to kind of adapt the mask lifestyle 24/7. But I mean, that's a
fashion,
cool thing.
Make it cool.
Yeah, exactly. We could do that.
Fun masks, make it fun.
You're an influencer. Get some ideas going. Broadcast
right?
people. Yeah,
I've seen people do the ones where they put their faces on their mask, and I think that's so cool.
Oh, that'd be good. I could do that with a little beard. You
Yeah,
wouldn't even know
right?
I'm
You could
wearing
do a
it.
beard mask.
Yeah.
That's what I did for Halloween. I had like a big blue beard that I had kind of like as a mask, had like a mesh thing under it too that I can use as a mask. So
Oh,
it kind
good
of, yeah.
thinking. Double use.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
exactly.
so we are mostly a sports podcast. That's I'd
Perfect.
say like 75% of what we talk about.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would be doing the fans and followers here an injustice if I didn't bring up a little bit of sports with you. So I know
Perfect. I love
you ran cross country and track, I
Yeah,
think. Is that right?
I did cross country and track. I started out with soccer, and then I switched to track and cross country when I was in high school. And then I got a scholarship at Academy of Art University in San Francisco.
Wow, okay.
So my events for track were I sometimes did the 400 and 800. I was more of like the long distance, and I did long jump and triple jump, and then the 400 hurdles.
Holy
So,
cow.
yeah, so I was all up in that track business. But I love track. The thing that is so difficult about being on track is that it's an individual based sport. So if you do bad by a quarter of a second, everyone knows it.
Affects the whole team.
It affects the whole team. So everyone's like, oh, you're a quarter of a second slower. And it was a lot of stress in that way, but I liked it because it taught me, I don't know, I guess that pain is temporary.
Yeah.
Know? Yeah.
Dang. Okay. I did cross country in high school, but I was not good at it. I did it more of I had a crush on a girl, and I told her I ran cross country too, not knowing what a 5K was or anything. So that's my small background with that. But do you still run or do that?
I run. Yeah, I still run all the time. I don't run as far as I used to, but definitely, I think running is one of those things that can kind of it can get you can get like in a zone, and it feels calming in a sense. So whenever I feel anxious, that's what I'll do. Or I'll go to the park and bring Pistachio, my dog, and he'll
Pistachio. Yeah. And no, that's a good idea. Just on long distance runs, like clear your head or just kind of get in the zone.
I listen to murder podcasts when I run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what's your go-to like hype up music when you run? But I guess it's crime murder podcast.
Crime. It's either murder podcasts, or I like listening to slow, intense music, because then you feel like you're in a fight scene.
That's cool.
Everyone's like, oh, you need like this quick hype music. I'm like, no, I want to do like Oh Fortuna, the one that's like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
I love that one, because it's like when you run, you're like, oh, I'm like in the 300 movie, and I'm like, I don't know, it feels like a battle.
Yeah, it's like this movie soundtrack in the background going.
Right?
No, that's awesome.
Like that.
I love that. Mm-hmm. So I know most people probably know you from your days at The Bachelor. So kind of segueing into that, what made you want to go onto The Bachelor and then Bachelor in Paradise? What kind of sparked your interest from, you did cross country track, and then you're big into like fashion and art as well. And then you did Bachelor. Kind of like
I was
talk
actually
about that
behind
segue.
the camera. So I started out behind the camera. I was I was a creative director and set dressing as well. So I used to put sets together for film and television. And so I never thought about being in front of the camera. I was more so, I don't know. I just like the environment of being on set. And then I was with my girlfriend's house sitting at my parents' place one time, and we were drinking wine, and we were watching Bachelorette. We were watching like Rachel Lindsay's season. It was like the dodgeball episode.
Okay.
And my sister's like, oh, you should definitely go on Bachelor. And I was like, oh, I would never do that. I think that's always everyone's initial reaction is, oh, I would never do that. But then I drank a couple more glasses of wine, and it sounded like a good idea. So I filled out my resume, or whatever it's called, the application process, very tipsy. And I said, I'm a ukulele playing taxidermy collecting twin. And they called me the next day.
That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. They're like, that's the weirdo. She's gonna be weird.
That's awesome. So your girlfriends and a bottle of wine are to thank for your journey starting on that.
Exactly. Yeah, they can get me to do anything with a bottle of wine. So
I love it. What's your go-to? A random off question. Go-to bottle of wine.
Ooh, oh my goodness. Well, it depends on the weather.
Oh, okay.
When it's cold out, I kind of like Pinot Noir, and then I like Chardonnay when it's warmer. I forgot the name of this one. There's like, actually, I really like orange wine. There's this little Italian wine and cheese shop in my neighborhood in West Hollywood, and I'm actually really getting into orange wine now.
Okay. I've never heard it. Like, is it actually orange, the liquid, or just like the bottle's orange?
It's
Like, what
kind
is
of
that?
like white wine, but the skins are in it a little bit longer, so it's funkier. It's like you can find ones that are spicy, which is kind of weird,
Okay.
or ones that are really tangy. It's just more of a unique, complex flavor. I sound like I'm not like extremely knowledgeable about wine, I swear, but
No, you know more than I do. I don't know basic. I mean, in college, we drank barefoot Moscato because it was like $4 from Kroger. And that's what we
no.
did for date parties. And that's kind of
Yeah.
the extent of my wine knowledge.
Did you ever slap the bag?
We did one too many times.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's a
that's
lot of
so funny.
videos and Snapchats out there, I'm sure of it.
I've heard about slapping the bag. I've never slapped the bag. I went to an art school, so I feel like it was just more of a pretentious environment where like
Oh,
we're too cool for this.
yeah. We can't do that
Like a hipster.
unsophisticated. Yeah.
Yeah, looking back, I'm like, man, I needed to slap the bag. I feel like I'm missing something. Maybe I'll have
Need to get into
to.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. So are you going to be tuning in tonight for the new Bachelor premiere?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I'm really curious because Matt has never been on Bachelor. He's never on Bachelorette. So I'm wondering how he approaches the situation after not really being in the experience before. Because I think when I was on Bachelor, you kind of get an idea of how everything works, and you can slowly get into like being used to being filmed kissing. And
Yeah.
so him starting out never doing that, it's going to be really interesting to see like how does his first kiss go, or how is he going to be really nervous, like more nervous than other bachelors or bachelorettes that we've had before. So I'm curious
Okay.
to see how he
That's a good
handles
way to
it.
look at it. I didn't know if he was
Yeah.
on like Bachelor in Paradise before or how he kind of, because doesn't it work like the runner up
Yeah.
is usually the next Bachelor or
Usually
Bachelorette?
like one of the top the final people, but with him he was friends with Tyler Cameron, who was really popular on Hannah's season of Bachelorette. And then he was supposed to be on Claire's season, but then before they even started, because it got held back because of COVID, he was offered the Bachelor position. So he
I
skipped a few
see.
steps.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually trying to go down in a couple weeks to Jupiter and see Tyler. I'm trying to do
Oh,
a
cool.
like a workout video with him and our other buddy Kurt who played football with him. So
Oh,
I was gonna
sweet.
drill him with questions there because I've never
Yeah.
watched. I watched your season, ironically. The
Oh,
girl that I
cool.
was talking to was obsessed with your season, and so that's how I got
Oh,
into it. And then I watched Hannah Brown's, and so that's kind of brought my Bachelor interest back a little bit. And it's
yeah.
enjoyable television. I actually kind of like watching it now, being a
One of
guy.
those things that initially you feel like you don't like, then you get so into it. Like my dad and brother were the same way, because I used to watch it way back when I was younger,
Hmm.
and they would come in to the living room and like pass by, and then slowly but surely, as the season would go on, they'd end up sitting on the couch
Staying
having
longer.
commentary. Yeah, so
Yeah, you lure them in a little bit each week.
you get hooked. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened to me. But
yeah.
so got the Bachelor thing out of the way. This is what I really wanted to talk to you about is your book. So you are a published
Yes.
author now. So just curious, a notebook of questions. I've got a list of questions for you about that. Like, what made you want to write this book, and how do you come up with 500 plus questions to narrow it down? Like, just
Yeah.
anything about that book. That was my big thing I wanted to talk to you about today.
Oh, thank you. It's so funny because it was a New Year's resolution of mine for 2 years. So I've always wanted to write a book and be a published author. But it I had the book written for years and years before, and never really expecting to publish it. I collect a lot of things. I collect taxidermy. And I collect questions. And so when I was younger, I would just have like this notebook that I shoved in my backpack and I'd bring with me everywhere. And I would write
Smart.
down questions that I heard. And if I met new people or if I was on a date, I would always bring it out and just ask people just for fun and to kind of break
Yeah.
the ice a bit. And so I brought it on Bachelor thinking, oh, it's a good way for me to get to know the girls. And we, in the downtime of filming, because I know how filming could be hours of just boredom.
Right.
So I brought it on there and I played it with the girls. And then my producer at the time was like, oh, you should bring it on one of your dates with Ari. And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. That'd be so fun. So I brought it and I asked him a bunch of questions. And obviously the one that everyone remembers is when I asked him if he'd ever eat human meat.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I asked him that question. And I think after that, people were like, oh, you have to publish this book. And it took me I think a year or two to actually publish it. But
Dang. Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got the book. I won't go through a bunch of my favorite questions because I want people to buy it.
Oh,
A
yay. Thank
lot of those
you.
are really, they're interesting questions. Like it's not stuff that I feel like the average person, like in a nice way, the average person wouldn't think of these. They're very like in depth. They're deep questions. There's stuff that I really enjoy that. I've asked like my family and some of my friends here what
Oh,
they
I'm so
think of
glad.
them, and like you said, it's a good conversation starter. We've used it before, like at parties to drink and just talk about, and so um,
Yeah, I love how you can just get on like hours of conversation based off of one or two questions. Like that's my favorite
yeah,
thing about it.
yeah,
And what it was important to me that in the questions, it's like I feel like people are so afraid to ask certain questions. So it almost acts as like a scapegoat to get to the conversations that you want to get to with people. And
yeah.
they start out pretty easy and then they get more and more in depth like as you go through the book. And but I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of those questions, like you said, some people don't want to have those conversations or they're just too scared to bring that up. So this book's a good
Yeah.
way, maybe for introverted people or just people in general that want to ask those questions and, don't necessarily want to bring it up on their own. This is a good way to help do that.
Yeah, yeah. I've had so many really interesting conversations. Like usually in the beginning of relationships, I'll bring it out during like when we eat dinner and I'll have a question that I'll ask before dinner. And then, it's just like, it's just a cool, fun way to talk about things you never expected to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions in that book I've never even thought about or it's never crossed my mind.
I'm
I never even
so
thought, I
glad.
was like, I don't know how to answer that.
There are some weird ones in there. Yeah.
There are for sure. What would you say is your favorite question out of the book? Do you have one or two that you just had to
Yeah.
put in there or that you enjoy bringing up the most?
The one that's been really popular with like a lot of my friends and family, and I usually love asking on a first date, is at what age do you learn the most about yourself? And that's the
Oh,
one that has been my favorite for a long time, only because when someone talks about like the age when they learn the most about themselves, it's usually something that's like a huge base of like their personality or their ideology moving through life. And so I love seeing like what inspired them to be how they are now.
okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I wonder if a lot of people would say, their high school years, their college years, maybe
Hmm.
now. It'd be cool
Yeah.
to see different perspectives on, how people, where they see the most growth throughout their life
Yeah,
so
and the
far.
answer is always different too. I mean, you can ask the question, 1 year, and then maybe a year later, the answer is completely different. And so these are questions you can revisit and ask again, and then see how people have shifted. Even like week to week, I'll answer the questions differently. So
That
it just
frequently.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends where my mind is at the time.
No, that totally makes sense. It is. So moving from that on to all things taxidermy. I know that was a thing
Yes.
on The Bachelor. You and Ari did that. And what got your interest in that? Because that's not something, the typical
Yeah.
guy or girl gets into. I think it's really interesting. So I just wanted to
Oh,
hear
thank you.
what sparked your interest with that. Do you still do it? And that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I am obsessed with reading about science, zoology, botany, entomology, just like all the science things. So when I was younger, I loved nature. I hiking all the time with my family, and I would just collect like skulls and things that I found along the way because I thought they looked beautiful. And I was like, oh, this is neat. I want to bring it home and check it out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I started collecting taxidermy or dead things. And the more I read about it, the more I found inspiration by having pieces around me. And yeah, I just think it's so it's like the art of nature preserved is what I like to say, because it's so beautiful in how it's naturally created. And having it around me, it's like having an art piece up on the wall for me.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
it's
very
it's
inspiring.
permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, we when I grew up, I was a Boy Scout, and when we used to have like our Boy Scout meetings, there were all kinds of animals, rabbits, there were deer, there were snakes, and it kind of creeped me out when I was younger, like 8, 9 years old, going through it. But then, like as I matured a little bit throughout and getting into high school, it's like this is actually really cool stuff. Like the process of stuffing it, preserving it, like making it seem more of like an art versus okay,
Oh,
there's just
completely.
something I shot or there's just a dead rabbit. Like there's more to it besides that.
Oh yeah, I mean, taxidermy is a beautiful art. It's sculpting. It's not only to sculpt, you have to know anatomy. You have to know like how to leather skin, different hides, and how to put it all together. And um, I've seen so many documentaries about like the art of taxidermy and how people are so specialized in it. And it really encompasses like a lot of different mediums. And I absolutely love like everyone always thinks I'm an actual taxidermist myself. Like I'm not a taxidermist. I have a great admiration
Yeah.
for people who can create taxidermy, but I'm more so an admirer and a collector of taxidermy.
Gotcha.
Um, but uh, but yeah, and it's so cool because ever since I spoke about being interested in taxidermy on the show, I've gotten to meet like a lot of amazing artists, and there's an amazing community of people like on social media. You can find a community for almost anything, and so I'm
Right.
just happy to have the taxidermy community that I do because of it.
Yeah, and I mean, with your kind of influence and your rise with The Bachelor, hopefully that'll bring like this as a hobby to some guys and
Yeah,
girls out there, or some people that, didn't want to talk about it. Kind of like with the book, they were afraid to talk about
yeah,
it, say that they're into taxidermy.
yeah,
Now this is another way for them to bring that up and kind of expose it.
yeah. People are so there's like an aversion towards like death, and that's something
Mhm.
that's a big like I would say specifically maybe more of like an American thing is to fear, and like a lot of other
Yeah.
countries in the world like to fear death, to run away from it. But it's a part of life, and it's like and the closer you are to it and the more you research it, I think the less fear you have of the inevitable end. So um, I always think it's just like a beautiful way to like see like the circle of everything.
Yeah, it's a good appreciation for it.
Yeah, and so many people were like thanking me, saying, "I'm so glad that you spoke up and said that you love taxidermy because I like weird things and it's scary to talk about, but you can't choose what you're passionate about. It kind of finds you in life. Like as you experience life, your passion finds you. So, yeah, I've always loved it and I still love it."
No, no, that's awesome. I'm really glad you do. I tried to look up to see like if you had pictures with any or like favorite ones or the different animals that you had.
Hmm.
And I know you've got a bird that is your favorite or your go-to.
Oh, Ping. Yeah.
Ping, that's
Ping.
it.
I brought him
Yeah.
everywhere. I bring him everywhere. So I've traveled with him on the show. Like I brought him, he's been to Paris, Peru, Italy. Where else has he been? I think I might have brought him on Japan to Japan. Like he's traveled quite a bit.
The little guy gets around. Yeah.
Yeah. And then oh my goodness, for Christmas this year, I one of my friends got me a jar full of like animal testicles.
No way.
Oh, it's
Okay.
amazing. Yeah, it's one of my favorite gifts this year. So because their uncle was a vet, and so they had like, and so all the animals are still living, it's just kind of like a reminder of life, I guess, like the seed of
Wow.
life.
So what is the like what's your plan with that? Like was his gift just like, "Hey, I randomly had this. I want you to have it," or did you like request it? Like what is your plan with that?
Oh no, I mean it's just when I think whenever people cross paths with taxidermy or weird specimens like that, they think of me, which is I like that.
Yeah. No, that's really
When you see a
cool.
jar of balls, think of me.
Yeah, think of Kendall.
Yeah. So, and then I have my other friends for my birthday got me my first piece of what's it called? The taxidermy. That's not it's not anatomically correct. It's more of like an experimental. It's like a little squirrel rowing a canoe.
Oh, that's cool.
So they all pitched in and got me that. So I love that people in my life have accepted that part of me and also celebrate it and they encourage it because they know it makes me so happy. So it's good to be surrounded with people who like support my passion and interests.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It sounds like you've got a
Yeah,
good, solid group of girlfriends that,
yeah,
can have a good time and laugh about it, and it even gives you a squirrel rowing down the river with it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
very
So he's
cool.
great. I'm like looking at him right now. I have like a little shelf full of all the things.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah,
I meant to ask you, you were on the show Wipeout too, right?
I was. Yeah.
Okay, was that, I guess that was pre-Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise?
Pre-bachelor, yeah. So I was in high school, and I was part of the video production class in my school, and my teacher was obsessed, Mrs. O. She was obsessed with with Wipeout, and she's like, "Oh, they're having auditions. I want you to go and interview people who are auditioning for Wipeout." And so my sister and I were twins. We went to Universal, I think is where they were doing this. I grew up in LA, so close to all of that.
Yeah.
And we were interviewing people in line, and we're saying, oh, are you gonna make it on Wipeout, blah blah. And so we were just interviewing people, and then there was people who were casting for Wipeout came down, and they approached my sister and I, and then like, oh, would you guys see yourself like being on Wipeout? We're like, oh, why not? And so we signed up for it right then and there.
That's
And then we
awesome.
got on, and yeah, it was, we went on Wipeout when it was the coldest day in Wipeout history, I guess, the time we were there. And Jill was the host, and it was frigid.
Oh,
It would have been so much more fun if it was warm. Like I would have
yeah.
loved to fall in the
Enjoy it
water
more.
and gone in and gone out, but it was so cold that when you fell in the water, you felt like you couldn't breathe. And like all the air in my lungs, like,
Oh my God.
and
It was that bad.
It was so bad, but I had a lot of fun, and it was that cold. So I don't think I got any bruises because my body was just like rigid, like a breadstick.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Dang.
yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Like, did this start as another, bottle of wine adventure and you applied, or it sounds like
Oh
this
no,
was
I was
way before
below
those
drinking age,
times.
so I never drank any alcohol before then,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was just kind of like happenstance. Like I think the thing is that my sister and I are twins, so it's when, and also I grew up in like Los Angeles and had like a lot of TV people who worked in TV in my life, so I think that's kind of just how that happened.
No,
Yeah.
Wipeout and Amazing Race were the two shows growing up I wanted to be on more than
I
anything.
would love to be on Amazing Race. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, just
Like,
like I guess you and your sister, and I wanted to get my roommate and somebody to just travel. It's like 12 countries in a whole season,
oh,
just do
so great.
outrageous things, experience new cultures. And so those are my two
Yes.
favorite shows. I think Amazing Race would be a little more fun, not to dog on your Wipeout
No, I
experience.
agree. I 100% agree. I'm so directionally challenged. I feel like that would be my downfall. But I would love to go on Amazing Race just because. And I was talking to some people who are on Survivor, and that sounds like such an amazing, life-changing, life-altering experience as well.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I don't know
my
if I can handle like having to sleep in freezing cold rain every night for like weeks on end. That might break me.
Yeah, it's like they just drop you with the clothes you got on and
Yeah.
go find a tree and make some shade and,
Here's a bag of rice. You got it.
exactly. Good luck for 30 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, cool. Well, good deal. Well, we got those topics out of the way, and now everybody's favorite part is the fan questions. And
Ooh,
so
yeah.
we'll start. We've got 10 of those. We got 10 rounds here with Andrew and Kendall. We'll start with our first one is, what is the ideal perfect first date for you? So the place, the food, the activities. I'm sure all the guys out there have a pen and paper ready to write this down.
My first date, I absolutely love, well, I have short obsessions. My current obsession is foraging. So I think it'd be really cool to go on a date where you can like forage for mushrooms or go fishing and then create
Oh,
like a meal and, build a fire and create a meal outside. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than like foraging for your own food or fishing for your own food and then,
yeah. And then
making
cooking
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love experiences like that. So I feel like that would be, I would love, yeah, that's my ideal first date for sure.
Okay. Good deal. Everybody take note of that.
Yes,
Um,
right.
so next we have, what was your favorite and least favorite thing about the Bachelor journey, and what was the most surprising? So kind of a 3-in-1 question there.
My favorite thing was, I think specifically on our season of The Bachelor, the women were so supportive of each other and we had such a strong bond. And I don't remember seeing that in many other seasons, although I think there were some previously, but yeah, I loved how we supported each other. And I think I cried harder when my friend Jacqueline left than when I left Ari. I mean, Ari was amazing, but when my friend Jacqueline left, I sobbed my eyes out. I think my least favorite thing, it's hard because I loved all of it. I mean, I think that it's really difficult to come off of the show and then to get used to um, a lot of different like opinions, and all of a sudden your life has a spotlight, and it was something that I
Right.
never really expected. So I think adjusting to that was a little bit painful. I think I was extremely paranoid for a little bit after the show, thinking like, am I being filmed or what's happening?
Yeah, I
You
believe
feel like
that.
you're being watched, like everything you're doing. And so like everything you post, every opinion you have, everything. And there's good and bad that comes with that. And so that was the most jarring experience, I think, from that. the most surprising thing was I think I became a better like dater after, because you're
Okay.
challenged, you know, like why hasn't dating worked for you before you went on the show? And I think the one thing I love about the producers and people that you are experiencing like while you're on the show is that they just ask you questions that no one's ever asked you before, and you're in a situation where there's no friends, no family, you know, that are from your past life. You're kind of in the situation all by yourself, so you have to make up your own mind.
In the moment,
And
you right there. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm used to like bouncing all the ideas off my sister and my family. We're extremely close, and their opinion means so much to me, and I didn't have that. I was left on my
By
own, and I was
yourself.
not used to
Yeah.
that. But then I learned how to be an individual in a relationship, and I grew a lot from that. So that was
Okay.
surprising.
It's good to know. I like that.
Yeah.
It's also good. I never would have guessed, like you said, the girls were all very supportive of each other.
Yeah.
Because from our side, the public's view, I would have guessed that you all not necessarily hated each other, but it was like, you know, you're
Competition.
competing. Yeah, it's just like this inner competition with each other where it's like you don't like them, but it's refreshing to know that, you know, at least for you, like you grew really close to that one
Yeah.
girl that left, and you know, you were sad about that. You actually grew some friends out of it.
Yeah. Even on the 2-on-1 when I was with Crystal, I mean, I like Crystal as a person. You know, she definitely has intense moments, but I feel like there's never a moment where I was like, I need to force this guy to like me, because I don't want to be in a relationship
Good.
like that
Yeah.
where I have to force someone to like me. I want them to just like me for who I am. So the idea of like fighting for somebody or competing for somebody, I'm like, if you know, if it's not there, it's not there, and there's nothing I can say or do that's going to change his mind. Like, oh wow, she like talked bad about that girl, and
Yeah.
now
I
she's the woman
suddenly
of my
love
dreams. Like,
Kendall. Yeah.
yeah, that's just not what happens. It's like that girl looks like crap now compared to Kendall. Like that's totally who I'm going with. Yeah, I think I just more so enjoyed the people there and the experience, and I never really tried to stress too much about being seen, or you know, I was kind of like, if it happens, it happens. I think that worked for my benefit,
No, it's a good
psychologically at
approach to
least.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So round three here. So I think we kind of covered this already, but it says after being on both shows, Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, what were the biggest takeaways that you learned or got from your experience?
Yeah, I think also, especially after being on Paradise, is that I learned to more so run towards fear and vulnerability as opposed to just pushing it away and doing the safe thing. Because when I was on the show, obviously, Joe and I ended up breaking up on the show, and I ended up flying to Chicago, and the whole thing was my first plan was to not tell anybody that I was going to Chicago, and to just I had already booked my ticket. I was already going. I was already going to talk to him. And then I had told my producer, and then he's like, hold on one second. We're going to bring a camera crew. Yeah, so that was actually kind of like an afterthought. It was something that I was also didn't really want that to be filmed, because my whole idea was like, it's very difficult. You can get to know someone to a certain extent on camera, and then off camera, you know, it's like you feel like you can be so much more vulnerable, like let out a big sigh, like a big breath,
Yeah.
and you know, just showcase a different side of yourself. So I think that was like what I wanted to see in this relationship, to see if the relationship could succeed. But you know, you got to take chances and go for it. I know I
Yeah.
went on a big tangent, but I hope that answered that.
No, that was more than enough. I love that answer.
Yeah.
It, somebody actually sent me a clip. It's kind of off topic yesterday of there's a scene in Bachelor Paradise where all of you guys are like around a table, and I think it was Leo was his name.
Oh
He gets
goodness,
up and
yeah.
makes some speech, and I don't remember all the details from your season with Bachelor in Paradise, but I watched that clip and it was him just like getting up, telling people, you know, you're full of shit, like an
Oh yeah,
Oprah,
yeah.
just a rampage. And then he and Joe like went at it. Like, was that like an
No,
actual
yes.
fight, or was
That
that
was an
just more
actual
like
fight.
a
Yeah.
Bachelor hype up kind of fight?
Oh no, that was definitely an actual fight. I think Leo kind of fed off of the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like I think he was really like enjoying that moment. And Joe's definitely not the kind of guy that's going to let someone say something and not confront it. So that was actually really scary for me. Like I'm not really into figuring out arguments physically. I'm more so like, we can talk it out, and don't put energy into something that's not worth it. And so for me, I was actually pretty shooketh after that, because I was like, oh man, like people are actually fighting. It's like weird. I've never been in a situation like that. So yeah, too real almost.
Okay. Yeah, that I've got another question down the road. I guess I'll go ahead and answer that now. So, do the producers ever stop and say, "Okay, go back and do that scene again, repeat what you just said?" Like how much influence do they have when, you're on a one-on-one or if you're talking to the girls? Is it very not scripted, I don't want to say, but if they want something, to film again, will you guys have to repeat that?
Definitely not. I mean, my experience was that they just ask you questions, very much like how you're asking me questions right now. And it's just trying to get a feel for how you actually feel. And I think their goal is for you to express yourself and to be vulnerable. And early on when we would be asking questions in interviews, they want you to feel comfortable and to feel like you can be the most purest version of yourself, like while being filmed, because it is weird. It's weird to showcase your, falling in love. Like that's one of the most vulnerable things you can do. And I think their job is to make you feel comfortable in that and to feel comfortable expressing it, because it is a show. They want you to talk about it. People can't read your mind and say, "Ooh, the way that she looked at him, like I know she's in love." It's like you got to say it. You have to say you're in love. And I also struggled with that too when I was on Bachelor. It was really difficult for me to say I'm in love with you or I'm falling in love with you. And that was also something that they helped me with, to be like, you have to tell people how you feel or they're just not going to know. Or they're going to
They
feel
can't read
insecure.
your mind with it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So yeah, they're just, they just want you to say what you're feeling as opposed to just internalizing it.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that's one of the big misconceptions. People think it's like, okay, they're telling Kendall to say, "I'm falling in love with you," or,
Oh
they
yeah,
want
no,
they
it's
want
not a
Kendall to
thing.
go pull some bitch's hair and start a fight.
Oh
Like,
my God.
and so
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't think it was like that. So, but I also wanted to bring it up because there were probably
No, of
15
course.
people that asked questions like that.
Yeah, so many people think like, oh, your relationship was fake. I was like, we lived together and we were together for like a year and a half. Like it's like big commitment for like a fake
Yeah.
commitment. And every single relationship that comes out of The Bachelor, I mean, at least the ones that I know, I can't say, because of course there's probably people who are doing it for their own, they have different intentions, but at least everyone that I know, they've done it because they genuinely love that person. They genuinely have feelings and they just met on TV.
Yeah. Just instead of
Yeah.
Hinge and Bumble or at a bar, they met
Yeah.
on ABC's The Bachelor. Yeah.
Hey, it's more believable, I think, to fall in love on The Bachelor because there's no distractions. You have amazing dates and no phones. So you really have to like get to know somebody without being distracted. And I wish all my relationships started out that way, to be
Yeah, I would
honest.
love that. Just take my
Yeah.
phone for, however long you guys are filming, so I
Oh,
don't have
yeah.
to put up with anything, and just let me get to know,
Yeah.
whoever the girl is. Yeah.
Oh, by the time Paradise came around, I was like, take my phone. You can have it.
I'm
Some people
ready.
are trying to like sneak phones in. I'm like, why? Like,
Yeah, it's like you
why
should
do you need
enjoy
to
not
talk to
having
people?
it.
Yeah, I was like, absolutely not. You can have this. I don't want my phone now, So
No, I get that. The more that I've gone through like COVID and quarantine, the more I'm just like,
Mhm.
let me get outside and do stuff. Like I
Yeah,
hate looking at my phone for pretty much anything. But okay, well, it's good to know. I definitely didn't know that. Thank you for clearing that misconception up.
yeah, no, of course.
So next we got round 6 here. What advice do you have for guys or girls right now who are dating or trying to date in this,
Yeah.
COVID era where, you can't go out and meet people? What would you suggest or what are your ideas for, 20, 30-year-olds that, don't really know where to go right now?
I think now more than ever, it's more important to have a solid conversations because you can't rely on the physicality of a relationship. So I do a lot of like FaceTime dates. I think they're great. And it's just finding ways to be creative and to ask funny, interesting questions and really get to know people. I think personalities are a huge thing now, just because, I think initially with first dates pre-COVID, it was, you see someone in person, you have like the attraction, you can actually feel the physicality of something. Whereas now it's like, okay, it gets more serious more quick, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely
Because if you're
does.
choosing to hang out with this person, like you have to really like that person because you're risking not only your family and friends, health and your own health, but you could potentially like spread something. So yeah, it's like, is this guy worth breaking the COVID restriction for? Like there's a lot more thought like that going on. So, you have to have that solid conversation.
No, totally. I know, like here in Nashville, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, all those apps are huge. I don't have any of those. I'm not a big fan of, let me put up my 5 best pictures and see if I can get 10 girls to swipe on me. But it feels like the last year, that's the only way, at least here, you can meet people.
And there's like all kinds of interesting dating apps. There's this one that I was working with called Scene, where it's like all of your conversations and video chats are available for everyone to see. And so it shows like more vulnerability. It's pretty crazy. So like I was actually checking it out, and like you can see the conversations, and so it's almost kind of like a little reality TV show like within like an app. But I think there's so much more creativity for dating, and there's so much more, it's been interesting to kind of see how dating has shifted, especially with all my girlfriends too, because a lot of my girlfriends are single, my twin sisters, single. We're all, being single in this COVID world. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting to see the shift.
I didn't know about that app. That's actually kind of interesting, because you could see like, this guy messaging me, is he a creep? Like, how's he talking to other girls?
Oh, exactly. I think it makes it so it's more respectful in a way, because everyone's seeing the conversations. You can't just be like, DTF, here's a, picture of something you don't want to see.
Right.
So it kind of takes that away. And it's more and you can go private as well. It's not like something, it doesn't all have to be
only
out
public.
There. Yeah. But, my curiosity, like I love seeing how relationships grow and seeing connection, and, this works for this person, so maybe I can try something like that, or being more vulnerable, or, here's a cool pickup line. So I thought it was really interesting.
No, that's definitely cool compared to all the junk they have out right now. Like if you and I were doing a FaceTime call, another girl could see that call and be like, "Oh, this is how Andrew acts."
And get a vibe for the person and how they are, when they pursue someone romantically. I think that's kind of cool. Like, oh, this is how this person flirts, and I kind of like that, and so yeah, I like it.
That's really cool. Mini reality show.
Yeah, kind of like a mini reality show. Right?
Yeah, and that's called Scene, like SEEN.
Yeah, Scene dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Interesting.
And I'll see you on there.
Hopefully
I'll see all your conversations now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So next one, we got round 7 here. I got to throw in one sports question. So your thoughts on Alabama, Ohio State? They're playing in the national championship next Monday night. So who do you think's going to win? That'll be our first one. Alabama, Ohio State. Who you got?
Well, Ohio is known for potatoes, right?
No, that's Idaho, isn't it?
Oh, no, you're right. Wait. It is Idaho. I'm already failing at this. Yeah, I don't watch sports at all, but I did look this up because you had mentioned it, and it is football. I am aware.
Indeed, yes.
Football. I'm going to go and guess. I'm going to say Idaho, right? It was Idaho and Alabama?
Ohio State.
Oh, Ohio State.
Close.
Oh, see, now I'm just really fixated on potatoes. Now I'm gonna have to choose Alabama because I feel like I can't choose the other one after that.
Solid pick. Okay. I think that's what most of a lot of the bettors and ESPN analysis people are thinking Bama. So you're good on that one. Good call.
I'm glad that I chose a good one. Yeah. I do.
The non-potato. Yeah.
Not potatoes. I mean, I would have chosen the potato state if it was there, but I don't watch a lot. I do enjoy watching sports, but it has to be like, we can't have any social environments now. Like the place I like watching sports is like at a sports bar. You have the energy of everyone. Like I love watching other people's passion, like if you're into sports and that's your thing, like I love watching you like in that environment.
Enjoy yourself. I feel
like it's infectious. Like I get the energy as well. So go Alabama.
Roll Tide. Okay, good deal. So
Roll Tide, yeah.
Going off of that, we have the total points in that game is 78. So they think between both teams, 78 is going to be the total amount of points. Do you think it will go higher or lower than 78?
I'm going to say 86.
86. Okay, I like that.
Is that an insane number?
No, not for these two teams have really good offenses. People think it's going to go over anyways, so you're 2 for 2.
I really hope I get this right. If I get it right, I'm psychic. because I have
I
no
swear,
other
if this
information.
happens next Monday night, I'm gonna call you and be like, "Hey, I need you to give me all sports betting advice from now on."
Right.
It,
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm in it. I was feeling like 86. I see it in my mind's eye, you know.
no, I could see that. You never know
I
with it.
apologize for everyone who's betting with a number that I'm throwing out there out of the blue.
No, you heard it here first. Take 86 in Alabama.
Yes, 86 Alabama. There we go.
So we got round 8 here. If you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
So my sister is really big on animal totems. So she said that I am a flying fox bat because I see beauty in dark things. So and also I think flying foxes are like puppies with wings. They're so cool, and if you ever watch them eating fruit, it's absolutely adorable. So
That I've never even heard of I know what a like flying bat is, I know what a fox is. So I'm just like in my mind morphing these two together here.
it's kind of, it definitely looks like a puppy with wings. And everyone's always so freaked out about bats, and bats especially now have such a bad rap. Because
Yeah,
of the wet
that's
markets
true.
and everything. But bats are just, they have like a sixth sense with their amazing like sonar hearing, and they're just really incredible animals. And not all bats suck blood, you know. I mean,
Yeah, there's a little bit of
yeah,
variety.
yeah, there's fruit bats, like all kinds of bats. And like their faces are so, because like they the echolocation is like how they find things, like their faces are kind of contorted in these really cool shapes. And
That's
I
cool.
just think they're so interesting to look at. Like I love bats.
The sonar part I think is pretty cool because whales do that too, and maybe dolphins or dolphins kind
Hmm.
of eek. But yeah, the sonar part I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and orcas. I mean, it's so cool because with certain species, like it's like they can actually, they know like if it's a male or female, they know what they look like, they know where they are, what their surroundings are. It's really like an
That's
amazing
wild.
sense to have, and they can also feel like how they're feeling. Like it's pretty amazing.
I'll say
Us
that's
humans are
intense.
living, us humans. I always wish that I had that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, just to gauge a better understanding for people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Bill around the corner.
Yeah.
He's wearing like a suit. It's like you could like, it's so detailed. Like people don't realize like it's a very detailed sense.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I do. That might be my well, there's a question that is in your book that I just have an answer to that now. That's what I would want. But moving right along here, we got round 9. So, what is the best and worst pickup line that you've ever been told or you have told to someone?
Ooh, when I was in high school, there was a kid that said, "Are you a library book? Because I'm going to check you out." And I think his friend dared him to say it. But I
Oh,
remember it like to this day. I think it was like maybe the first time someone used a pickup line on me, and I just remember thinking it was hilarious. Have I
pretty
ever used?
nerdy, but I like that. That's a good one.
I like nerdy guys though. Like I kind of like the quirkiness, like someone that can get a little bit weird. That's not afraid to be weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. And I ever used a pickup line on somebody? I'm trying to think. Oh, what I did do one time is what did I? Oh yeah. So there was this guy on Muni, which is like public transportation in San Francisco, and I just wrote my number on a piece of paper, and then I put it in my hand, and I shook his hand, and I was like, "It's nice to meet you." And he was like kind of confused,
Oh
and I
my
was like,
gosh.
"It's nice to meet you." And then like I put it away, and he had like the number in his hand, and like I walked out. I was like, it's like I freak out so hard like doing stuff like that, but um that was like such a long time ago. But we ended up going on a date, and it didn't work out, obviously. But
But he
yeah,
did get
someone
the
got
hint, the memo.
he got the hint, and I did get a call, and we did set up a date, and we kissed. That was as crazy as it got, but
Okay. No, that's cool though. That's interesting,
Mhm.
like a sly kind of like spy way to do it. So
Yeah, I was like, here's my number. I think I put like a little winky face on it too, being
just
like, I'm cool, like,
yeah, there you go.
yeah.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
we what's our next one here? Okay, so is Chris Harrison as cool as he seems on TV?
Oh, he's cooler. He is way cooler. Yeah, he's cooler than me, hands down. He just has like this humor. It's like a little bit like a dirty humor, but like he's extremely witty. And yeah, no, he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. I feel like he has to like tone it down a little bit for being on Bachelor,
Really?
and Bachelorette. Yeah, oh, definitely. But he has a lot of personality. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he seems like he's a badass from, the
I
promos that
know.
we see and like, obviously him doing this for the last X amount of seasons, but I
Yeah,
heard he was moving to Texas. So there's a
I
rumor
heard
that
that
he
too.
may not be the host going forward. So I'm thinking that might be
I
my time to
know.
shine and kind of
Yes, get in there,
slide my
right?
way into hosting. Yeah.
Some big shoes to fill, you know? I mean, he's been the host for how long? How many, like 20,
20 plus.
20,
Yeah.
yeah, 20 plus seasons. So, what is this? Season 27, is it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that'll be
There's a lot of
max.
seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ever since before I even went on a date, I've been watching Bachelor. So
Yeah.
it's so insane to see like how the show has changed, and he's been a part of it every step of the way. I hope that he would just travel to go on the show. You know, it's just like
Oh,
don't
good
leave
point.
bed,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm sure he has the means to do that, a little Bachelor jet or something.
I'm sure they'd hook him up pretty nice as long as he's been doing
Yeah, right.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Is it like 3 seasons per year? Like Bachelor in the spring, Paradise in the summer,
Oh yeah,
um,
I think so.
Bachelorette in the fall?
I think it's a little bit. Is it a little bit shifted now because of COVID? Like because they had to kind of wait to do Bachelorette now. So
Oh, good point. Yeah, they've
yeah. So
probably
I think
pushed
they'd
it.
usually be filming Bachelor at the same time they were filming Bachelorette. I think I don't know. It's all mixed up,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's usually three. So Bachelor, Bachelorette, and then Paradise, and then sometimes they'll do summer or winter games. I think kind of squeezed in there as well. Um,
Oh, I've never heard of the
but
summer winter games part. That's a
they
Bachelor
did
show
yeah,
too?
they did a show called Winter Games, which sports. It like mixes all the things you love, sports and
Perfect.
Bachelor.
Yep.
But they had like I mean, they did Winter Games and it looks so fun because they had I think they had skiing and snow like all these different winter games that people executed poorly or well or, but they had Bachelor because Bachelor and Bachelorette is all around the world. So they brought in people from around the world
Oh, that's
like
cool.
like
It's really unique.
Australia, like Japan, like yeah. I met my friend Lily, who is the most amazing person, because she did Winter Games, and yeah, it's so cool to see different Bachelor people from around the world coming together and to try to do sports.
Yeah, competing. Is it still the same, like, rose ceremony, like still
Yeah.
trying to find love, or is it more just the games aspect?
I think it's more. I mean, it's not as love. I mean, of course, people are in relationships and there are rose ceremonies, but it's not as relationship focused. I think it kind of has a little more fun with like games and strategies that way.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it feels more lighthearted. It's not as like, are you going to be in love? Are you going to get married? You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely fantasy suites though. That's something that happens there. So yeah,
Okay. Would not have guessed that. It's a pretty the same script, kind of just
yeah,
maybe a little more influence on the sports.
exactly, exactly.
Okay. That might be my show to go on then. Give me a couple
Yeah,
glasses
actually, I
of
think you'd
wine and
love
start
it.
applying for that.
Right? Yeah, right. Fill in the application.
Yeah. Yeah.
Recommended to do with a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So our last one we got round 10 here. If you could have your own show, what would it be about?
I feel like I'd want to do something. Well, I've been obsessed with documentaries ever since I was younger. And I feel like I'd want to do something along the lines of like a documentary series about taxidermy or females in
Oh,
taxidermy because it's something that's not really showcased as much. And I think there's so many misconceptions when it comes to taxidermy. I just saw a documentary called Stuff, which I really liked, and I think Making Bigfoot was another one. But females, like where are the females in taxidermy? I think that has to be something that should be showcased
yeah.
more,
I'm sure they
like a
make up
taxidermy
like
competition or
1%.
something. Yeah,
Oh, like
that'd be cool.
the
Yeah.
Great British Baking Show, except taxidermy.
Oh, I love Great British Baking Show, but I would love to do a taxidermy edition of Great British Baking Show, and it could be like making like mice to like big mounts or doing fish, or that'd be so cool. Like
I
I'd be
think
so into that.
that would be cool. You
Yeah,
get
right
like
now, like if
6
there's
or 8
any,
people to do that.
yeah, I will judge that all day. I'll host that all day. That'd be so fun. Just because I can just geek out on watching, how people do it. So
Yeah,
let's make it
especially
happen.
if you get people that don't know what they're doing, maybe that would
Hmm.
draw more attention. Um,
Oh yeah, because it's like the one thing I love about Great British Baking Show is that it's like amateur. It's like
right.
amateur bakers. Like I would love that'd be so cool to do like amateur taxidermy. It's like, and people have like different backgrounds, and that would be epic. Like I would absolutely
That'd
love
be a
that.
pretty cool show because there's nothing like that right now out there. So you're
Yeah.
combining, get the fans that watch Great British Baking Show with your nature lovers. And
Yeah.
I think we found
I
it right
gotta
there.
pitch that. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
Hey,
Whoever's
as
listening,
long as
let's make
I
it
can
happen.
be a partial host in this, I'll help pitch it.
Yes. Yes, let's do it.
Dude, I'd love that.
I
Quit
would
my
love
day
it.
job and go host a Great British Taxidermy Bake Off. Or not bake
Yes.
off,
Oh,
just
and
show.
they have different challenge. I'm like already writing it in my head.
Yeah, make up different challenges each week or different animals
Right.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, like wet specimens, mounts. Yeah, we're gonna do it.
I like that.
If
Awesome.
someone steals my idea, I'll be so pissed.
Yeah. You heard it here first though. So hopefully
Yeah,
between
yeah. We'll have TM.
Awesome. Well, that is my round 10. I've got my bonus question here, which is my favorite out of the bunch, actually. And it is, so if you were ever in Nashville, would you be down for dinner and drinks with me downtown on Broadway?
Post COVID, let's make it happen. Let's do it.
Post COVID, of course.
I've never,
Yes.
I don't even know if I might have been to Nashville one time for like a day or two. So I am in need of a tour guide. Yeah.
Dude, it's a fun city. It's very cowboy-ish. Like they hype it up to be a very, get your boots and your Daisy Dukes kind of atmosphere, which
Oh
I
my
grew up
gosh.
here. And so
Yeah.
it has gone from like, no one wants to come here to, it is a real estate, huge sports area, huge tourist destination. So I don't know how different it is from LA. It's pretty bougie out here, which a lot of people like,
Really? Oh, it's so cool.
surprisingly.
Is it kind of, I've heard that it's kind of like as like lights as like Vegas in a
Very
sense.
much
There's
so.
a lot
Yeah.
of like energy, a lot of like nightlife going on. It sounds
Oh, yeah.
fun.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
only like 200 bars to choose from. There's
Yeah, only.
it's a really cool place. If you like Southern food, the lights, and a little bit of bouginess, I think it'd be a solid weekend trip.
Bring on the bougie. Yeah, I'll get my hat and shoes. Let's go. Or boots, right? Cowboy boots.
Yeah, your boots, exactly. You'd fit in well
Yeah.
for a weekend.
Yeah, I can at least pretend for a weekend. So I'm
That's
into
true.
it.
I think you could fake anything for 3 days. That's true.
Well, taxidermy. I feel like that's a thing that I did actually get a taxiderm mount in Texas last time I went to visit. I got a badger, so I feel like that's a great taxidermy there.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, close enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my memory of Texas right there.
Yeah, there you go. But well, I appreciate it again. Thank you so much for coming on here. And I'll put our links for your book, and that's it. Just KendallLong.com. Is that right?
Yep, kendalllong.com.
Awesome, perfect, easy enough to remember. And then
Yeah, I'd like to keep it simple.
yeah, you can't confuse people in this day and age.
Yeah.
You got to keep it basic, to the point. Yeah.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
your Instagram, it's Kendall
It's
Long.
Kendall Long. Yeah. Again,
I love it.
I
Basic
recently
and creative.
changed it. I recently changed it because my last one was like this weird one that I came up with when I was like, I don't know, in high school or something, and so much cooler now.
Yeah, I like it. It's to the point now. It's more sophisticated.
It's Kendall Long. That's it. That's all you need.
That's all you need to know. Yeah. Awesome.
So
Well, thank you so much again. I do really appreciate it. And I'm sure all these questions are going to make a lot of people more at ease and understand The Bachelor, hopefully learn a little bit more about you with taxidermy. And I hope everybody goes to buy this book. It's actually very good. I didn't know what to expect. I read a lot of reviews and like I see, you advertising it, but it was great conversation starters, a lot of laughs. And like you said, it's those conversations that, sometimes it's hard to bring that out or it's hard to talk about certain things. And
exactly. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Well, thank you again. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day and starting off 2021 on a high note. And who knows, maybe we'll see you on another Bachelor related show, or maybe you and your sister might be on Amazing Race.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's what I'll do. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. I hope you have a great day.
Perfect. You got it. Thanks, Kendall. We'll see you.
See you. Bye.